Plaintiff Tisha Howland is suing her ex-boyfriend, Kurt Syme, for car damages and towing fees. Tisha says Kurt ripped a light out of her car with his bare hands and punched her windshield in a drunken rage, then drove off in her car. Kurt admits to damaging Tisha's car, but he says he snapped because he believed she was cheating on him with her ex-boyfriend.
All right, today we have Tisha, who is suing Kurt, her ex-boyfriend, for car damages and towing fees. Tisha, tell us how you met Kurt and
Kurt
why
and I-
he's, hold on, and why he's your ex.
Oh, okay. Well, Kurt and I met in 1999 through work. We started dating in 2002. I was kind of still involved in a relationship at the time, but was upfront about that initially. When that relationship ended in 2007, that's when Kurt and I picked things up once again for what I considered to be a pretty serious relationship. What wasn't being taken as seriously was his maturity level. He's 42 years old, still lived at home, collects Star Wars memorabilia, what he actually considers to be a job. It's more of a hobby. So, you know.
Do you have a job, Kurt?
I'm self-employed.
And what do you do, self-employed?
I do flea markets,
Okay.
various collectibles, not just Star Wars stuff.
Comic books, whatever, that's still, that doesn't count. I mean, he doesn't look 42, but he is. Maybe he does to you, but I don't think so. So, Kurt, yes, nice guy, but when you add alcohol.
But let me ask you a question. Tisha, you said that, like, you knew him many years before you started dating him.
Well, but we met through work, so it wasn't
Well,
like.
what work was it?
We
Were you in the flea market business?
No. Well, actually, we're from Wisconsin, which is clearly a leader in the dairy industry. So we actually worked at a company that specialized in mail order meats and cheeses.
Well, I want you to know I worked in a dairy all my teenage years
so
when I
you're
was
familiar
a kid.
then. So it was. I mean, he was just somebody
You
that
didn't
I
know
would
that,
see.
Jimmy, did you?
No, I didn't.
See? Go ahead.
So again, he was just somebody. That's how I had known of him.
So where does it all go wrong?
Well, basically, we would drink together occasionally. Basically once the alcohol was involved, then I became anything from a slut to other names that I couldn't even use in your courtroom.
Can you call her slut?
Yes.
Why do you call her a slut? Why would you call anyone a slut?
Because she had a boyfriend she lived with and would come to my house, stuff like that.
Were you drinking at the time?
Sometimes we would drink.
Were you drinking too, Tisha?
Well, yeah, but that wasn't, that wasn't why I was there all the time,
So there's name calling and drinking. Go ahead.
name calling and drinking. So on July 3rd of this year, we were going to be going to a gathering at a friend's home. But it was Independence Week, so the celebrating had begun even the night
Independence
before.
Week?
Well,
Isn't it usually like a day?
yeah, it is a day, but
In Wisconsin, it's a week?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's because they had enough of the milk, huh?
Yeah.
They're moving on to whiskey.
Yeah,
Okay.
so in our area, yes, it was an Independence Week. So the night prior, we had been drinking together.
Okay.
Get up the next day, we were going to go to the party as planned. Unbeknownst to me, Kurt didn't end the party from the night before. He had sat up and continued to drink.
That true? You were drinking all night, Kurt?
Well, I stayed up later. I just woke up before her, though I did sleep.
You did sleep?
Yeah.
This came to surface. So he seemed fine to me. We went to the party, had a good time, left there about 6. We were going to go to another friend's home. But on the way there, that's when, I became a slut again and that kind of thing, and actually suggested that the friend's home that we were going to was somebody that I was looking to hook up with. So as we're driving there, I determined he's not going to my friend's house. Not like this, not.
What'd you say?
I basically told him, you're not going, there's no way I'm going to,
So she says to you, you're not going to call me a slut and take me to my friend's house to continue to party. So then
So I said, I'm taking you home.
I'm taking you home. What is he? Are you driving?
Yes, I'm driving.
And are you always driving?
Pretty much.
Why?
Much.
Why isn't he driving?
He doesn't have a license.
Why does he have a license?
I lost it like 10 years ago for drunk driving and just haven't got it back.
Oh, lost it as in conviction, lost it.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a drinking problem, you think, Kurt?
No.
Come on.
I don't drink that much anymore.
Well,
when I was with her, we drank quite often, but
And how often do you think you drink?
now, once a week,
Before that?
3 times a week.
You have a drinking problem. But the good news is, Jimmy, that when he lost his license, he stopped driving.
Yes.
And you know what? If I'm going to give you credit for anything today, it's because you stopped driving, all right, after your conviction. Most drunks keep drinking and getting behind the wheel of a car. That's for another day. So I'm giving you kudos for that. All right,
Well,
so we're in the car, we're fighting, he's
yes.
calling you names. You say, I'm not taking you to my friend's house.
I'm
Then
not.
what?
So we're driving actually down the highway. And he just, wasn't going to accept that. Starts, again, I'm a slut, and just starts going crazy. Began punching the roof of my car. At that point, cutting up his fist on my dome light. Pretty much at that point, tearing off with his bare hands the council light. Pulls that off, and I'm like still trying to drive and not, provoke the situation, but, freaking, like, whoa. So at this point, it's time to exit, and I'm like going, oh my God. And so at that point, then he's in 3 blows, boom, 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 shatters and punches my windshield. I do have a photo of that.
All right, let's see it.
So this is prior to my even getting to pull over.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
Oh, wow. It
You can
actually
see
looks
each
like
3 blows.
3 spider webs here.
Yeah.
This is your windshield from the inside looking out.
Correct.
3 punches by the defendant.
Yes, with each strike. I mean, it was pretty unreal.
Yeah, it really is.
Just that it would be that
Kurt,
easy.
have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
You admit to punching the windshield?
Yes, my hand still hurts from it, actually.
It should hurt. Okay.
So
police
at
report.
that point, I had pulled
Police
off to a
report.
residential area.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do. I have
Let's see
that here
that.
too. So I'd pulled off to a residential area because I wanted him to obviously get out of my vehicle. Came around to the passenger side, but before I could do that, Kurt had used the automatic lock, locked the door, slid over to the driver's side, and took off.
Oh, then you lied to me when you said you stopped driving after you were convicted. You drove off in her car.
I was very upset that day.
Oh, how many other exceptions are there? I'm taking back the kudos I gave you.
Thank you.
Well, let me start at the beginning. With
No,
all
you're
this
not
as
starting
far as-
yet. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I just kind of stood there for a second because I thought he would be coming back. I don't know why. And then when that became clearly, I started heading towards his home, which was about a half a mile from where I was standing. So when I got there, my car wasn't there, but I still wanted to go to my friend's house.
You still wanted to go to the party?
Yeah, because I wasn't going to
You've
let
got
it.
no windshield,
Well,
the dome lights hanging from the roof of your car, and you want to go party?
well, I was.
I got to tell you, this Independence Week in Wisconsin, I got to check this out. Whoa.
Quite the celebration, I guess.
All right, so you go to the party.
So, yeah,
When's the
I-
next time you see your car
So
or
now,
him?
the next morning,
next morning.
asked my mom if I could use her car so I could drive to determine where my vehicle was. Finally admitted to my mom kind of what had taken place, and she suggested I give a call to like our local impound. So I called them, and so they said, once I had provided my plate number and such, they said, well, yeah, the vehicle is here, and it was going to cost as well to get it out like $190.
All right, you have a bill for that?
Yes, I do.
Let's see it. All right, Kurt, I'm ready to get to you in a minute. All right.
So then, as I get there, like I say, there's just the staff there are just kind of looking at me weird, and my mom's there along with me, and they say, well, before they take me out to the yard where the car is, that it would be a good idea to contact the police. And if I didn't, then they would. Because of the blood on the vehicle, that was Kurt's blood. They didn't know if it had been in a hit and run or if somebody had been hurt or, because the
How
car...
badly were you bleeding?
My shirt was covered with blood the next day. So
Your
Pretty
shirt
good.
is
My
covered with
pants
blood?
and shirt. I would cut my hand open.
Do you have permanent injury from that?
Feels like it at the moment, but I don't know. I haven't got it checked.
You've never had it checked?
No, I haven't.
Why?
I don't have insurance or nothing, so it's healed up. It just
It's such a sad commentary. The 48 million Americans don't have health insurance. It's not a good thing. People can't go to the hospital because they don't have insurance for injury. Whether they cause it to themselves or anything else, it's a sad commentary on this country. But go ahead, Tisha. Anything else?
So, the report was taken, and I do have other pictures of the damage. Basically, the car looks as though he kind of like tried to go into an alley that wasn't the right width, because the damage kind of is like, on each, which I do have photos of that as well.
You mean there's more damage?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I have pictures of that as well.
Thanks, Joe.
So before I could even leave with my car, actually, I had to have a tire put on it. I have a tow truck guy was kind enough to put on the temporary tire so I could at least get it out of there. At that point, they weren't even sure if it was drivable. And then you'll see.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what I mean
That's
by
the right side.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it looks like going through an alley that was
What
too
were you
small.
doing?
I was driving erratically and I ran into a ditch. And
Pretty much took the control arm. So basically, for me to drive it would be almost like a child's toy where
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to control it.
All right.
So I have the paperwork for that as well.
Okay, what are the damages?
Oh, you know what?
All right.
All right. So we've got damages in the amount of $2,673. That's it.
That
We've got
is
the
correct.
receipt. All right, Kurt, hit me.
then in 2002, we lived together for about 6 months, and I found out she was seeing her ex-boyfriend, and then from there on, it was this back and forth. And 2007, he finally moved away. And
Were you seeing your ex-boyfriend when you were living with him?
Yeah, off and on. That is correct.
Yeah, that's usually a yes. Okay, go ahead.
everything was pretty good for a while last year, and then earlier this year, this started happening again with her disappearing, not answering her phone. And then I one day did check her phone records, and she had been talking to him again. And this particular night, I just assumed she was probably going to see him again, because this is something that happens.
So in your mind, you think that the reason she doesn't want to take you to the party is because of her hooking up with the old boyfriend. All right, who
She
are you
also
with?
failed to mention that she came to my house a couple days later and slashed my tires. And I got
Did you
a vehicle.
slash his tires?
I didn't
Hey,
slash, I
tire.
did puncture a tire.
Oh, you mean you
Same
tried?
thing.
Oh, you tried to slash them, but you couldn't get the. Anything else, Kurt?
She tried to slash a second tire like 10 minutes later, but I caught her again, and then that's it. She came back with a second object. It wasn't a knife. I don't know what it was.
You know, he seems kind of like a laid-back kind of guy.
But when you add alcohol, it's no.
Yeah,
He is laid back.
firework.
That's why I was with him. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then, you know, it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
All right, the issue today is whether or not the defendant is liable to the plaintiff for property damage and towing fees. I don't think there's any question, Kurt, and you admit this yourself. You took the car without her permission. It's a very simple case. The damages are owing to the plaintiff. You didn't have any right to take it. You have absolutely no defense. You intentionally caused damage and then I think recklessly caused damage to the outside of the car. You are clearly liable for the amount that she is suing for. And the only thing that I hope for is that you understand that you and alcohol don't mix very well. Okay? And I think you get it now. And, you know, the bottom line is that now you're here with injury to your hand because you don't have health insurance. And that's going to be a constant reminder of why you shouldn't drink. All right? Verdict for the plaintiff. So be it.
Your Honor.